We're going to dig into a few topics here. So let me just start by saying thanks to Keith and the Lifespan team for this incredible event. I'm Omar, the CEO and co-founder of Weavechain, and today I'll be talking to you about self-sovereign, verifiable, compliant data and the role of NFTs in DeSci. But I do not want to bury the lead here. I'm also going to tell you about these epic NFTs that we built for this conference, and then I'm going to do a live demo for you all and kick Weavechain testing off of the top spot of our leaderboard. But before the fun stuff, I want to tell you a little bit about how we built this epic dynamic NFT. And that starts with our story at Weavechain, where we upgrade databases with blockchains, weaving them together, so to speak. And we are helping people build self-sovereign Web3 data meshes that are both easy and compliant to work with. And we have a pretty contrarian view in Web3 circles, which is that the future of data is not fully publicly and permissionless as with services like IPFS. It is self-sovereign and decentralized. Now, I realized this when I was building an application before Weavechain called Mana. This was DeSci before the term was even coined, and it was an application that would let you go and track all of your time. I've been doing this for 6 years now, and I'm happy to talk through all of my data if you come and find me after the conference. But really, the only way to actually achieve this feat at scale is if you do it automatically by using data from your devices, wearables, combining with artificial intelligence predictions. And everything was going great, but the problem is we went and built the world's greatest spyware. We had way too much information about our users on our servers, and we were trying to figure out a better solution. And Web3 seemed like an amazing opportunity that would go and treat data like a first-class citizen. In Web3, we like to say that data becomes provable. So I should know who has done what with an immutable lineage and exchangeable, where I can truly own my own data and be compensated for its use. For example, if somebody's going to go and train an AI off that data. So this is what we at Weavechain believe is the future of data. And we got really excited about decentralized science's desire to spread these principles. I love this idea of fixing the flows of how data moves between parties, but there's a really big problem here. The problem is that 99% of data will never exist on public and permissionless Web3. So that Web3 data ownership vision really only works if you abandon firewalls and use only today's encryption for safety and then put your data on services like IPFS. You know, there's not going to be corporate data on these services because these services are not GDPR HIPAA compliant. Public Web3 is permissionless and immutable as a feature, which means that you can't delete data to satisfy GDPR compliance, and you can't firewall it like you have to do if you need HIPAA compliance for healthcare data. Now, I love these services for what they're good at, especially, IPFS is a phenomenal place to be storing public goods, but there is no chance that I'm going to let a service like that have, data about what I was doing at 2 a.m. last Saturday. So what we did at Weavechain was create what we call a layer 0 for data that tries to do strategic decentralization. We start by taking a normal development environment with normal databases, and we upgrade it by adding a Weavechain node right on-prem or on the user's device and creating what we call a private DApp pattern. And a layer 0 means that there are a lot of these side chains or app chains for each different service that you're dealing with, and none of them are actually sharing one bit of data between them. Now, what we do with layer 1s and layer 2s is what we call blockchain anchoring as a kind of data roll-up to provide decentralized security in a compliant way. And we also support bridging tokens to enable seamless user experiences that don't require, let's say, a MetaMask signature on every transaction. Now, there are two fun technical features that I want to dive into before our demo. And the first is this concept of blockchain anchoring. So this is a little bit of cryptography here, but I want to talk to you about one-way hashing functions, which let us say that this piece of data will always go and create this hash. And if you change the data, you wouldn't be able to create the same hash. Also, because it's a one-way function, if you had the hash, you could never actually go and recreate the data from that hash. So there's actually very little harm of having this hash in the public domain. Now, by keeping a historical record of these hashes, we can prove that the data hasn't been changed. And with a blockchain, we use consensus algorithms to ensure that our hashes can always stay in order. You can't add, remove, or reorder hashes without breaking the blockchain, for example, by having a supermajority colluding. In this example, if it was just A, B, and C in the chain, then a supermajority of A and B could create a fake database and a fake blockchain, and C couldn't prove anything. Now, Web3 depends on major blockchains ensuring that this kind of collusion doesn't happen, and it's doing a great job. And as long as we can trust that the blockchain can't be broken, we have a magnificent place to store these anchor hashes. And it's not just anchors of data that we can use to ensure data hasn't changed. The second concept I'll describe to you here is about a computational lineage that we can tie to the blockchain for what we call proof of fair play. So whenever a computation flows through those Weavechain nodes, we create hashes of the input data that was loaded, the computation itself, and the results of the computation, and then we sign all of that by the node that did that action. This makes it so that you can prove to somebody else that you ran certain code to generate your results, just like a smart contract would. Now, we currently support all this good stuff with big data throughput and any database or blockchain that you could want. We are building right now with some of the finest names in DeSci, and while I'd love to chat with you about things like dynamic data governance and the myriad of other fun things that we're doing for Genobank, or our recent fun with verifiable AI training lineages, today I want to focus on how we used Weavechain and Polygon to create NFTs for proof of philanthropy. And all the credit here goes to Keith for the inspiration and product design around what this is meant to achieve. And also, kudos to Colton for the incredible illustrations and the Weavechain team for the build here. But our goal was to go and create this dynamic NFT that changes based off of charitable donations that are made by its holders. It's what Keith calls a Demi-soulbound property. So today, we're doing it live, everybody. So let's see how this goes. The first thing we're going to do is run some code through Weavechain to mint a dynamic NFT whose metadata is managed by the Weavechain node. So I'm going to start by minting an NFT for myself on pop.lifespan.io. If anybody is feeling brave, pull out your phone, open up your MetaMask browser, and try going to pop.lifespan.io. And if you have some Matic in your wallet on Polygon, you can mint yourself an NFT. I will also be doing a workshop later from 12 to 1 if you want one for yourself. But to see what this looks like, I'm logged into my MetaMask over here. I'll click to connect to the website, set up my account, and now I am ready to mint my NFT. What's happening here is that I am going to pay some Matic to do that minting process. And to optimize my demo, I am going to pay as much gas as possible and pray to the Polygon gods. And now we play the waiting game. Oh, looking good. I think I may have myself an NFT. Let's see if we can get a refresh over here to see that beautiful piece of artwork. I may have been ambitious with my refresh of the page. Let's go do a quick bit of debugging over here. The joys of blockchain technology. It looks like my transaction was a success. I'm trying to see, here we go. There is my NFT right there. Proof of philanthropy number 7. So if I click that link, I can go and see that NFT over here on OpenSea. And right now I have the basic black version of that. Now, I can even go down here and click into the minting transaction on Polygon over here. And one of the things that we did with Weavechain to make this a dynamic NFT is that it's actually pointing to a Weavechain node, the token URI function, to say, go to this Weavechain node server for the metadata for that NFT, and return me some JSON over here. So this is the actual data for that NFT that OpenSea is pulling up. And if you see over here this image field, the idea is that this image is being served up to OpenSea every time that I pull it up. And as we evolve that NFT, this JSON blob is going to change. Next, I'm going to have my wallet owning the NFT give some Matic to charity. So we're going to have a periodic job that runs code through Weavechain to update our dynamic NFTs. So first, let's actually go and do some giving. Over here on the website, we have some convenience features. So I'm going to give 2 Matic on Polygon. Okay. So I think that giving has been done. I see some transactions have been confirmed. But let's walk through what's actually happening over here. So the code that's running this job is currently open sourced on Lifespan's GitHub repo. Let's see. The point of this is to make sure that anybody can validate that this is actually a fair process. Similar to how if the entire process was happening on-chain, anybody could go and analyze the smart contract code. So all this code is really doing is looping through all of the owners of the NFT in this kind of for loop over here, and then checking the giving of each owner against the tokens that we have whitelisted for fair giving. Then it updates the attributes of the NFT, and let's go and see if my black NFT over here has been upgraded appropriately. All right, we did it, everybody. We have successfully upgraded our NFT from black to bronze over here. So what's really interesting here from our perspective is that proof of fair play that I was talking about. So this is what ties in those architectural elements that I chatted about earlier. We have this Jupyter notebook over here that is showing the smart contracts on Polygon that have records of the hashes of every bit of activity that we're doing over here. Again, these hashes are just like little tiny cryptographic blobs that look mostly like gobbledygook, but are in fact hashes of the exact data for these operations, or hashes of the compute that was happening earlier. And if I go over to this Lifespan page and click this history button over here, I can actually see a list of all the giving history that we've recognized. So here is the 2 Matic that I just gave earlier in my demo. And if I switch over to this proofs page, I have key data from that computational lineage that's in plain sight for anybody to go and audit. So I can click on this data field and see, again, a bunch of gobbledygook. But this compute hash over here represents the data, or the hash of the code that was run over here. And the idea is that this open source code on GitHub was used to create this Docker image over here, which actually distills down into this hash, which unfortunately is the wrong encoding. But when I decode it over here, we see this J6GE gobbledygook over here matches this J6GE gobbledygook over there. Again, we do not expect that many people are going in here and auditing the sort of fairness of these contracts, but the idea is that you don't have to trust that it's doing what you say it is. Somebody could go in here and actually validate that fair play is happening. Now back to the fun stuff. One of the cool features that Keith had recommended was around these Demi-soulbound attributes. And what's cool about it is that if I actually go and give this NFT to somebody else, our job is going to downgrade that NFT back to black because the new owner hasn't donated any money yet. And of course, we could implement whatever rules we want here for these NFTs. So over here, I have a different NFT window, and I'm going to go and send this to Letty, our Director of Product Marketing over at Weavechain. Currently, this NFT is bronze, and what we're looking to see here is that when I send it to Letty, that it would become black again. Great. So we see that that transfer is processing. It looks like the transfer is complete. And because I'm impatient, I'm going to go and manually trigger our job to go and run. That periodic job is currently going every 30 seconds, but who has that kind of time right now? Now, one of the tricks for all these NFTs on OpenSea, especially the dynamic ones, is that OpenSea is actually caching the data over here. So what we need to happen is a manual refresh of OpenSea to see this changed. I will admit that this part is a little wonky sometimes. OpenSea is a little slow, but let's go and see if we get lucky on this run. And there it is. Our NFT has been downgraded back to black because Letty has not given any money to charity. Letty, please give money to charity so we don't look bad. Great. Well, look, the result here is that we have a Web3 gamified philanthropy using Demi-soulbound properties. And we're discussing some really exciting bequesting scenarios that we think we can do here. For example, if Vitalik Buterin gave a lot to charity while he was holding one of these NFTs, he could sort of pass the torch to another individual and give them the NFT and incentivize them to go and level up the NFT before passing it along to the next party. We're also working with partners like Angel Protocol and Endowment to build in support for things like tying in off-chain giving to specific wallet addresses. You know, as long as we can call their trusted API, we can establish these Demi-soulbound properties. And with Weavechain, as we discussed, we still get a verifiable data lineage for those properties. And of course, now it's time for the big one. So let me jump over to my personal wallet. And I am thrilled to send $1,000 in real time over to Lifespan, a 501c3 organization that gives me a qualified charitable donation. 0.59. I'm pretty excited right now. This is going to be the first gold NFT that we've seen so far, assuming again that the demo gods are on my side today. But let's go and trigger that Jupiter job again because I am impatient. I need some like Jeopardy music or something for these loading signs. All right, we have some good stuff over here. And then big money, big money, big money, big money, big money. There it is. I am the holder of a lovely gold dynamic NFT over here. And I have the pleasure of finally coming in here and knocking off Weavechain testing as the top donor for our event over here and taking that spot for myself. So this is what I'm going to be doing pretty much all conference. So I really encourage all of you to come in here and support Lifespan.io and the awesome work that they're doing by helping us see what we can raise during this conference. Again, we will be doing a workshop from 12 to 1, both today and tomorrow, to help you get set up, to go in and make sure that you have your first MetaMask wallet, get your first NFT. I think there's a chance that the VitaDAO team may even be giving away some free money. So if you want to go get some Vita tokens, please go and get set up over there. And then you can use those free tokens to go and upgrade the NFTs that I gave you. Cool. One other fun thing that we're going to be doing here is that right after this talk, I am going to go and send Vitalik Buterin one of these NFTs, and I hope you all help me in pressuring him on social media to go and give 10,000 bucks so we can go and hit our benchmark over here. Really, peer pressure works. Let's do this. So thanks again to Keith, the Weavechain team, Colton, and Polygon, and everybody for the great stack. We can't wait to change the future of giving with you all. Please come up and chat with me afterwards, and I think I have a few more minutes for questions right now if anybody has anything.
All right. Yeah, first of all, I just want to thank Omar for this amazing presentation. And doing a live demo like this is something that would stress me out. So good work doing that. Yeah, so I just wanted to just make a point and then ask a question to Omar. But my point here is that while this might be very techy and some of you might not be familiar with some of this, the bottom line is that this creates a way to kind of gamify philanthropy that can create all kinds of interesting models to get people to create like philanthropy wars with each other. You know, you buy an NFT, you upgrade it, you give it to a friend, and now it's their turn, etc. So basically, and this is a way of practicing what we preach. As Omar mentioned, there's a lot of other organizations like Angel Giving that are involved in this. This is a way that can potentially tie a lot of organizations together, both Web3 and longevity related. So the question that I have for you, Omar, is obviously this is the base concept, but given what we've talked about, what is the most kind of exciting end result that you think that this kind of base technology can factor into?
Man, it's a really good question. You know, one of the interesting things about it is that it's like the opposite of anonymous donations. It's like super upfront and out there donations. But like the gamification part is really interesting. Like, you know, we just had that one, like, let's say, I think we had two interesting mechanisms for this one. The first is, of course, being able to power up an NFT with giving. And the second one that I really liked that you had was the bequesting scenario, where I could go and power up an NFT and then give it to somebody else with this sort of like social pressure to follow and pass the torch along. You know, I'm like, I was in a fraternity in college, and it was a big deal for us when you went and like received something from your older brother. You felt like you had an obligation to go and sort of honor that item. And this is doing the same thing for these digital assets, and with, let's say, a better cause than I had at my fraternity for some of those hijinks, right? So I'm really curious to see, like, can we really sort of create some viral activity with these assets when it's supporting these interesting public good projects like what you're doing at Lifespan?
Great. Yeah, I just want to follow up by saying that, yeah, it's also a good way to make people practice what they preach, because sometimes you have a lot of big name celebrities that say they care about a cause, but you don't really know if they actually do. But if you drop an NFT in their wallet and say, okay, well now we all can see if you actually do support that cause. So I think that's interesting.
It's a very fascinating thing that you can literally just go and drop NFTs in anybody's wallet at any time. We had done a sort of goofy NFT 2 years ago, the cryptopoops.com, finest poop on the internet. But we were just dropping them into wallets of like Mike Tyson and Mila Kunis and things like that. And let's say that was not very serious. This one actually is, though. I think there's a real chance that we could get Vitalik to go and contribute some money to this cause, you know, with the technology that we put together here.
Great. Does anybody else have any questions, be it technical or strategic? I know it's new for some of you, so don't be shy if you do. Okay, I guess back to Oliver. Oliver, do you have a question, Oliver?
Thanks again, everybody.